Team World Vision Washington, it's me again with a Lenten devotional for you. We are winding down. Next week is Holy Week. Easter is coming. Our race is coming. Let's stay focused on why we said yes to this and see what the Lord has for us today. We're going to be in Luke chapter 18 and 19. Luke chapter 18 and 19. I want to start with 19 and the story of Zacchaeus, continuing on with looking at people that Jesus should not be hanging out with and how he flips the script on kind of the holiness code, purity laws of his day and hanging out with the wrong kind of people. This is Luke 19. Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. There was a man there named Zacchaeus. You know Zacchaeus, the wee little man. He was the chief tax collector in the region. He had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. A wee little man was he. So he ran ahead and he climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, he said, "Quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today." Zacchaeus quickly climbed down, took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. The people were displeased. "He has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner," they grumbled. There it is again, that phrase. Jesus hanging out with notorious, obvious sinners. The people were displeased. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, "I will give half my wealth to the poor, Lord, and if I had cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much." If I have. You wonder why people were displeased? Because it wasn't if. He had done it. He had cheated people. Jesus responded, "Salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost." There's that theme again. Why did Jesus come? To seek and save those who are lost, to find his lost ones, his cherished ones, to call them back to God, to bring them back. People like Zacchaeus, who the people were sick of. He was robbing from them. He was working for the Romans, working for the bad guys. And Jesus still goes after people like Zacchaeus. And here's the thing. Here's a really cool thing about the Zacchaeus story. There is right before this in Luke 18. Luke 18. There's a parable in Luke 18 of a Pharisee and a tax collector. And then there's the story of the rich young man, the rich young ruler, some texts call him, right? Where he goes away sad because he has great wealth, and Jesus calls him to give all away, all that he has away to the poor. And it's so interesting because in verse 26 of chapter 18, after he goes away and Jesus says it's very hard for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. It's very hard. In fact, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. The people around, they say this: "Who in the world can be saved?" They're like, if it's about giving everything away, who can even be saved? In the very next story, Jesus says, "Let me introduce you to Zacchaeus. Let me show you that with a bit of humility and a passion for seeking after God, for seeking Jesus," he shows this passion Zacchaeus does, as he wants to go and find Jesus. And when he meets Jesus, his life is forever changed. It's flipped upside down. And he says, "What do I need to do? I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give my money to the poor. And if I cheated anybody over, I'm going to give back 4 times the amount that I cheated them." Who can be saved? Zacchaeus can be saved. That's who. And he becomes kind of a model for us of somebody that when you have a real interaction with Jesus, and when you are striving and seeking and searching for Jesus, and when you are found by him, your life is forever changed. And isn't it interesting that in the text in Luke 18, when Zacchaeus declares that my heart has been transformed and I'm going to be generous, I'm going to be generous with the resources I have. When he makes that declaration, Jesus says, today salvation's come to your house. There is a tie in this story and in the story preceding of what we do with our stuff, what we do with our resources, is somewhat tied, the text shows, to what it means to know and follow and serve Jesus with all we got. It's somehow tied to us being saved. Saved from our struggle to want more things. Saved from our desire to cheat people and step on top of people and climb over people and have power and more and more and more. Jesus says to Zacchaeus, when you figured it out and you're generous, salvation has come to your house today. It's a fascinating connection in the text that our stuff matters. It's a fascinating connection in the text. The text once again declares at the end of 19, that story there in verse 10, for the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. Jesus is also declaring that when Zacchaeus was cheating people out of their money, and he was quite wealthy, and didn't get his wealth by good means, that he was lost and he needed to be found. I just want you to reflect again on this story, Zacchaeus. Maybe look at it in a different way than you did as a kid when you thought about Zacchaeus, the wee little man climbing up in the sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. It's a story about our stuff. It's a story about what do we do with our stuff? How do we be generous? And think about that. Like, we are inviting friends and family into generosity. We're moving our feet, and we are inspired to be more generous by what we're doing as runners, as participants in Team World Vision. God bless.